Hello everyone, I hope you're all doing good. So today's lecture is on grammar concept which is active and passive voice. Active and passive voice. So to know what active and passive voice is, we first need to know what is meant by the word voice. In English, voice basically is used for subject in sentences, whether the subject is receiving the action or performing the action. Is it receiving the action or performing the action? If the subject receives the action, it will be in passive voice, and if it performs the action, it will be in active voice. So, we first need to know that active and passive voice are essential components, are essential in English because it helps you emphasize different parts of a sentence, especially when talking about passive voice. It is used in scientific writings, reports, and many other things. Got it? So, active and passive voice are important. You must know how to use them, when to use them, and where to use them. So, what is active voice and what is passive voice? Let's know that. Voice, as I have already told you, it's related to the subject, the doer. We get to know whether the subject is performing the action or is it receiving the action. As is clear from the words, two words, active and passive. Active means when someone is active, he is ready to do the work. Hence, we say that a subject is in active voice when it performs the action in a sentence. And it would be said to be in passive voice when the subject receives the action. Let's take an example of it. For example, there is an example: the cat chased the mouse. In this example, where is the subject? The cat. Yes, the cat is the subject. Where is the object? The mouse is the object. And we have this verb chased. So, chased is a verb. So, this sentence can be divided into three parts, and as we have already talked about, that most essential component in voice is the subject. If it's receiving the action, it's passive voice. If it's performing the action, it's active voice. Now, as you can see in this sentence, it's clear that the cat is performing the action. It is chasing the mouse. The mouse is being chased by the cat. Hence, we can say that this sentence is in active voice because the cat is performing the action in this sentence. Direct direct performing the action. So, we would say it's in active voice. Let's take a few more examples of sentences like these. He sings a song. She dances. All right. So all of these sentences are in active voice. We must know when the subject is receiving the action. So there must be an object for passive voice. If the subject is to receive an action, there must be an object in the start of the sentence then. All right, mostly what happens is in active voice, the subject is in the present in the start of sentence, as you can see in front of you. But in passive voice, the same subject moves to the end of the sentence. Let's just know and revise or recall the rules of active and passive voice, or how to convert sentences in active voice to passive voice. But one more thing that I should make clear over here is if there is no subject in a sorry, if there is no object in a sentence, it means that it cannot be converted to passive voice. Right? If there is no object in active voice, the sentence cannot be converted into passive voice. For example, we have the sentence, she dances. Is there any object here? No. So we cannot convert this sentence into passive voice. So we did not discuss the types of verbs today, transitive or intransitive. I've directly told you that if there is no object in a sentence, it cannot be converted into passive voice. Let's move on and see for the conversion of a sentence into passive voice, what are the rules that we need to keep in mind. So to convert a sentence into passive voice, there are a few rules. Let's consider the example that we took earlier. The cat chased the mouse. The cat chased the mouse. So over here we said cat is the subject, the mouse is the object, and chased is the verb. Subject, object, and we have the verb which is chased. SVO sentence structure. So the very first change that we are going to make is that we have to replace or exchange the positions of subject and object. This subject will move to this position and this object will move to this position of the subject. This is rule number 1, changing positions. So what we will write in this sentence for passive voice, okay, let's write it. So instead of the cat, we will write the mouse. And instead of the mouse, we'll write the cat. First change. Rule 1. Let's write it over here as well. Let's change the ink. Okay. Change, replace subject with object and object with subject with object and object with subject. All right. So rule number 2. We okay, let's take orange color. Rule number 2 is remember that when you are changing the position of the subject, there must be a connector over here that is going to connect it with the verb and all the stuff. So for that, we use by as a connector in passive voice. So let's write by over here. All right, so rule number 2 is use by before the subject. Rule number 3. Remember, girls, boys, and girls, that in passive voice, we always use third form of verb. So chased will remain chased. Now, let's come to rule 4. Use V3. All right. So in a sentence, when we are talking about verb phrase, there are two types of verbs: helping verb and main verb. Okay, so main verb is basically the main action that is being performed. All right, and helping verb is the use of be, has, have, um, may, might, could, all of these, be verbs, all are helping verbs, and main verb is the main action that is being performed. So we say that the main verb that we use in passive voice is basically V3, third form of verb. And there is this helping verb over here, which will be according to the tense. So for a present tense, for indefinite, let's just discuss indefinite tenses right now. For present indefinite tense, you will use is mr. For past indefinite tense, you will use was or were. For future indefinite tense, you will use will or shall plus be. Will be or shall be. So, all right, so these are only the example of indefinite tenses. We are not discussing the other tenses right now. We are only discussing indefinite or simple tense, you can say. Simple present, simple past, or future. Simple future. So as you can see, this sentence, the cat chased the mouse, is in past indefinite tense basically. So which helping verb will be used? Will it be was or will it be were? Was, because the subject is singular. We use was for singular subjects and were for plural subjects. So this is how you convert sentences in active voice to passive voice for indefinite tenses. Let's quickly revise the rules. Rule number one, replace subject with object and object with subject. Rule number two, use by before the subject at the end of the sentence. Rule number three, use third form of verb. Rule number four, use helping verb according to the tense. For present tense, present indefinite tense, you'll be using is mr, and you is using is if there is a singular subject, m for I, and r for a plural subject, and was or were in case of past indefinite tense, was for singular subject, were for plural subject, and for future tense you'll be using will be or shall be. Let's take a small assignment, your small assessment over here. So your assignment is, I'm going to write a few sentences over here. You have to convert them into passive voice and write them in the comment section below. So let me write those sentences. So sentences are going to be very easy because it's the first time you guys are going to practice passive, active, passive voice. They play. They play football on Sundays. Sentence number one. Sentence number two. She will bake a cake for the party. She will bake a cake for the party. Sentence number three. She completed the assignment. All right, we completed. Let's change it to we. We completed the assignment. All right, so I'm giving you 5 minutes and you have to convert them into passive voice. If you want, you can write the answers in the comment sections below. All right, so the time is up. I'm going to write the correct answers over here. They play football on Sundays. Football, football is played by them on Sundays. She will bake a cake for the party. A cake will be baked by her for the party. For the party. We completed the assignment. The assignment was completed by us. I hope that you understood this concept of active and passive voice and were able to implement it. And so that's all from my side for today. Thank you so much, everyone.